Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us in celebrating Australia Day 2022 this evening. My name is Vi Duong. I'm the Deputy Head of Mission of the Australian Embassy here in Pohnpei. I am honored to be your MC on this very special occasion. Australia Day is about reflect, respect, and celebrate. Our national holiday provides us an opportunity for us to acknowledge and to learn about our nation's past and to reflect on what it means to be Australian. On Australia Day, we reflect on our history. We respect one another's stories, and we celebrate our nation for its achievement and most of all, for its people. The story of Australia began a very long time ago. We have a rich history in which we acknowledge and respect the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have occupied and cared for our country for over 60,000 years. The Commonwealth of Australia became a nation in 1901, and today, Australia is one of the most successful multicultural countries in the world. While English is the official language, over 300 languages are spoken in Australian homes. With a population of 25 million people, 1/3 was born overseas from almost 200 countries. I am a symbol of Australia's multiculturalism. Having been born overseas with Vietnamese heritage, and just like many other families, my family too migrated to Australia. And we were fortunate to call Australia a new country, a new home. I feel very privileged to be representing Australia and celebrating a national holiday here with you in the FSM on this evening. As a multicultural country, Australia has an amazing range of international cultures. And we are also blessed to have a great range of food where global cuisines are within reach in our cities and in our local neighborhoods. Australians also honor traditions. Not only those traditions which migrants bring to Australia, but also the ongoing traditions and cultures of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Just earlier, we also honored traditional leaders through a Pohnpei cacao ceremony. Thank you very much, Senator Atui, for leading the cacao ceremony with us today. Now, I would like to invite the choir from OLM Christian High School to sing the national anthems of the FSM and Australia. And may I please also ask everyone to stand for our national anthems.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've gold and sword and wealth foretold, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gift of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage and fan At last, Australia Day. This year we are pledging with hearts and with hands, full measure of devotion to our native land. Full measure of devotion to our native land. Now all join the chorus, let union abide across all Micronesia. Join hands on every side across all Micronesia. Join hands on every side. We all work together with hearts, voice, and hands till we have made these islands another promised land. Till we have made these islands another promised land. Full measure of devotion to our native land. Across all Micronesia, join hands on every side till we have made these islands another promised land.
Kasalelia, Rananim, Ledwo, Mogatin, and welcome. Pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathered today. And I acknowledge in particular Namputak Bikinia, Wasalapalap, Namwat Yenwain Sokez, Hukalano Kola, and Nalalek Sokez. I acknowledge the Nankan of Madalenium and other traditional leaders who are here this evening. I acknowledge the Honourable Candy Eliezer, Secretary, Foreign Affairs, the Honourable Samson Pretrick, Director for FSM Personnel, the Acting Secretary of Education, Arthur Albert, members of the National and Pohnpei State Legislatures, His Excellency Ambassador Huang of China, His Excellency Ambassador Michigami of Japan, Charge d'Affaires from the US Embassy, Jeff Seeley, and UN Resident Coordinator, Jaap van Heerden. I welcome our business community members. I welcome our civil society guests. I welcome all Australians here tonight. I think there are a few of us, more than just at the Embassy, and ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to have you all here this evening in Pohnpei to celebrate with us Australia Day 2022. And like most national days, Australia Day is about our people and the multitude of cultures, experiences, beliefs and tradition that they bring to our nation. Australia has flourished in part because of our cultural diversity, and we're underpinned by many common values and a commitment to freedom. Now, the marking of Australia Day on the official date, which is actually the 26th of January, has changed over time. It's tied to the arrival of the first fleet of British ships in Sydney in 1788. It started actually as a celebration for emancipated convicts and has evolved over time into what is now a celebration of Australia that reflects the nation's diverse people. These days, as V has already told you, Australia Day is a day to reflect on what it means to be Australian,
to celebrate contemporary Australia and to acknowledge our history. And in particular, we acknowledge Australia's story began 60,000 years ago, not in 1788, and that Indigenous Australians are the traditional custodians of our lands and our waterways. Before going on to the next section, I just want to note two things which I think are important. I note that in Australia this week, among the new people who will be celebrating Australia Day for the very first time are a number of Afghan people to whom Australia has given refuge following the Taliban's return to power last year in Afghanistan. We're very happy to offer them the freedom of our country. The other thing I'd like to mention is that I know all in our thoughts are the people in Australia at the moment who are fighting, isolating and suffering from COVID at the moment as we go through a round of Omicron. Our thoughts are with them. So, I'd like to tell you about one way that we honour our diverse people in Australia, and it's through something that we have every year called the Australia of the Year Awards. The awards acknowledge leading citizens who inspire us through their achievements and challenge us actually to make our own contribution. The awards honour those who ignite discussion and change on issues of national importance. In short, Australians of the Year make life better for all of us. So I'd like to tell you about some of them now. So this year's winner of the Australian of the Year Award, which was announced a couple of days ago, is a man called Dylan Alcott. Now Dylan is a gold medal Paralympic basketballer and quad wheelchair Grand Slam tennis champion. He won 23 quad Grand Slam titles and recently became the first man in history in any form of tennis to win something called the Golden Slam. Now, I know that all of you tennis and sport tragics out there will know that that Golden Slam is when you win 4 major Grand Slam events and an Olympic gold medal, all in the one year. Dylan is also an engaging disability rights campaigner, a philanthropist, and an outstanding role model for Australians living with a disability. Dylan describes himself as the luckiest man alive, and he's a huge inspiration to all of us. Last year's winner of the Australian of the Year Award was an incredible woman called Grace Tame. Grace Tame is a passionate advocate for survivors of sexual assault, particularly those who were abused in an institutional setting. She was one of them herself. Grace has demonstrated extraordinary courage, using her voice to push for legal reform and raise public awareness about the impacts of sexual violence. Due to her phenomenal efforts to raise awareness of this issue, I can tell you that there is not a single Australian who does not know the name Grace Tame and everything that she stands for. Last year's Senior Australian of the Year, we have several categories, was won by a woman called Dr. Miriam Rose Ungamir Bauman, an Aboriginal elder from Australia's Northern Territory. She's a renowned artist, activist, writer and public speaker. She was the Northern Territory's first fully qualified Aboriginal teacher. She has devoted her life to maintaining the cultural independence of her people, including by advocating for the inclusion of visual art, which is an important aspect of Aboriginal tradition, as part of every child's education. Her work is bridging the divide between Aboriginal culture and mainstream society. Now, the Australian of the Year Awards also celebrate many groundbreaking advances in health and science. So examples of those include, in 2018, Professor Michelle Simmons, one of the world's top scientists, was recognised for her pioneering research that could lead to a quantum leap in computing. And in 2017, the award went to Professor Alan McKay-Sim, a biomedical scientist who led the world's first clinical trial using nasal cells to treat spinal cord injury. Some Australians are recognised for great acts of bravery. In 2019, Dr. Richard Harris from South Australia and Dr. Craig Challen from Western Australia, both of them highly advanced and accomplished technical divers, were recognised for their heroic efforts on a successful international rescue mission in Thailand. So you may recall this story, that against all odds, they rescued a group of boys and their soccer coach from a flooded cave in Chiang Rai. The Australian of the Year Awards also have a local hero category. You'll recall the catastrophic bushfires in Australia of 2019-2020. During this time, exceptional leadership in protecting communities was certainly on display in many of the communities affected, including by a man called Leo Opdenbrow, who is an active volunteer and leader with the local emergency services in his community and had been for 35 years. A firestorm on New Year's Eve 2019 turned his community, Malakuta, into a hellscape. And you may actually recall the terrifying photos that were all over the media at the time of communities huddled on the beach and evacuating by water against a sky that was red, orange and black with smoke and flame. Due to the preparations and the response by Leo and others, not a single life was lost in his community during that firestorm. In 2018, another man, Eddie Wu, arguably Australia's most famous mathematics teacher, received the Local Hero Award for making maths fun, and accessible to thousands of students. Through his website called, wait for it, WooTube, he has more than 100,000 subscribers and millions of views worldwide. Another woman, Sarah Tinney from South Australia, a finalist this year, started what has become the biggest community fundraiser for her state to end cancer. It's called the Marilyn Jetty Swim. Each year, this event sees hundreds of women and men dress up as Marilyn Monroe to go for a swim off the main town jetty. Moreover, in 2020, this event won the Guinness World Record for the largest gathering of people dressed as Marilyn Monroe in one go. 254 of them, to be exact. Now, the last thing I want to mention about the awards is this. That's because the Australian Open tennis finals are on this weekend. So I want to mention that the women's world #1 tennis player, Australian Indigenous woman Ash Barty, is also a past winner of the Young Australian of the Year Award. She's playing in the final tomorrow in Melbourne. We wish her well. Go Ash. Now, all countries have their leaders and their local heroes, including here in the FSM. And you know who they are in your community. I think I've been lucky enough to meet a few of them. The late Kiki Stinnett from Chuk and the late Dr. Raleigh Jim are two that come to mind immediately for me. Australia is proud to work with partner countries like the FSM through our programs to help support the making of leaders and local heroes in your country. Our Australia Awards scholarships in particular aim to help recipients make a difference in their communities, in their countries, and sometimes internationally. Australia Awards give recipients the skills and knowledge to lead, drive change, and contribute to economic and social development. Australia has provided around 160 scholarships to the FSM since 1988. Australia Awards scholars from the FSM have obtained degrees and masters in health, medicine, environmental studies, engineering, law, commerce, international relations, development and technology. Around 60% of them have been awarded to women. We are very happy to see so many of our scholars making a difference here in FSM. Our alumni, I'm proud to say, are in the National Cabinet, the Pohnpei State Congress. They lead government-owned enterprises and provide vital health services. They are business people and policymakers, and they support local communities. Some of them, I think, are even here tonight. So in 2022, the Australia Awards will be supporting 9 scholars who come from all FSM states to study in the Pacific and Australia. Tonight, we're very proud to have some of the scholars from Pohnpei with us, and I would actually like to now put them on the spot by naming them and asking them to come up so everybody can see you and applaud you. So I'm going to start with, someone who told me to call him Roddy. Roddy Lopez is currently Vice Principal at Pohnpei Catholic School. Roddy, you have to come up the front. Thank you. Just get you to stand here for a moment. Thank you. So Roddy, as you know, is Vice Principal at the Catholic School. He will be studying a Bachelor of Psychology and Social Work at the University of South Pacific in Fiji. So the next person here tonight, Reginald Joseph. Reggie, are you here? So as many of you probably know, Reginald is currently with Pohnpei State Government. He will be studying a Bachelor of Law at USP as well. So next we have Shania Felix. Now Shania, again, as most of you know, currently works for the National Department of Health at Pohnpei Hospital. And Shania will be studying a Bachelor of Medical Laboratory Science at Fiji National University. And finally, this evening, we also have our friend Suzanne Gallen. Suzanne, as you know, has a long history with many organisations here. She's currently with the UN, and she's already an Australian alum, actually. She did her undergraduate through one of our scholarships. Suzanne will be studying a Masters of International Relations at the Australian National University in Canberra. Congratulations. Now, I'm just going to make a quick honorary mention. Another candidate from Pohnpei who couldn't be here tonight is Harold Frederick Movic, who will be studying a Bachelor of Network Security at USP, but he wasn't able to come tonight. So, to all of you, congratulations. We wish you well, and we are absolutely confident that you will continue to make a difference in your country and your communities. Very exciting. So finally, let me conclude by telling you that 2022 is going to be a very exciting year in FSM Australia relations. Firstly, because Australia and the FSM will celebrate 35 years of diplomatic relations. Secondly, because we look forward to the arrival from Australia of FSM's 2 new Guardian-class patrol boats. And thirdly, because we are embarking on major new areas of collaboration. They include enhancing efforts to address the leaking oil from the World War II wrecks in Chuuk Lagoon. We are working with Japan as well as FSM on that and the Chuuk authorities. Australia is also supporting construction of a new submarine cable over 1,200 miles long, connecting Koshrai in FSM, Kiribati and Nauru. And we're doing this in partnership with FSM and those other governments, as well as the United States and Japan. And finally, under our long-running gender support program, we are supporting work to protect women through a plan for safe spaces for victims of gender-based and family violence. And all of this in addition to our ongoing cooperation in maritime security, education, climate change, health, and our volunteers program. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us this evening. to reflect, respect, and to celebrate on Australia Day. And I would like to finish by asking you to raise your glasses in a toast to the government and the people of the Federated States of Micronesia. Micronesia. Thank you. Cheers. All that is left now for me to say is Kalangan, Nikuprakoros, Kinusocha, Pulu, Malulap, Kamaga, and thank you.
Members of the Diplomatic Corps, and I want to acknowledge Ambassador of Japan here tonight, national and state leaders who are present here today. I'm sorry I cannot name each one of you, but thank you for being here. Heads of regional and international organizations who are also present here tonight, thank you also for being here. NGOs, if you are present here tonight, thank you for also being here, and also members of the clergy, Protestant and Catholic, distinguished guests and friends, ladies and gentlemen. Let me at the outset acknowledge and pay respect to the owners and custodians of the ground on which I stand, represented very highly and proudly tonight by His Royal Highness, the Monarchy of Sakas, and other traditional leaders who are present here tonight, and members of your entourage this evening. It is with much pleasure and honor that I represent the FSM government and people, including those here tonight in this auspicious occasion, marking the 34th anniversary of Australia Day celebration in the FSM. I specifically want to express regrets on behalf of His Excellency President David W. Panuelo, who is unable to join us, but has sent a congratulatory letter to the Prime Minister of Australia, the Honourable Scott Morrison, on the special day. On behalf of the President and all of us here tonight, I extend hearty congratulations to the Australian nation and people everywhere, represented officially and proudly this evening by the Madam Ambassador, Her Excellency Chokali, the good staff of the resident mission under her care, and other Australian citizens in attendance of this joint celebration of Australia Day. Ambassador, we gather here today to join you in your festive spirit on this historic day, commemorating the arrival of the First Fleet at Sydney Gulf in 1788. It is also a fitting time to recognize Australia's great achievements as a developed and prosperous country since then, as well as to reflect on how far you have come to be recognized as a global citizen. Many people around the world know and appreciate the role that Australia plays in our contemporary world as a middle power nation at various levels of our global society and in a range of sectors that matter most to our common humanity. Australians have been busy getting involved in international education, addressing global security issues, championing human rights, advocating a world of peace, law, and order, and volunteering for philanthropic and humanitarian causes, just to name a few. You have not only accomplished so much in Australia and for Australians, but have reached out and touched so many lives in different parts of the world. Yours is a model country of wonderful diversity and tolerance for the peaceful coexistence and respect of racial and ethnic groups, most especially with the Indigenous Australians. In our joint celebration this evening, it is also fitting to acknowledge and appreciate over 30 years of diplomatic relations between FSM and Australia. It was established in 1988, just 2 years after FSM became an independent sovereign nation, followed by an actual official establishment of your presence here in Pohnpei 1 year after in 1989. Since then, we have seen a relationship that has grown, matured, and prospered at all levels for the mutual benefits of our two countries. In the international arena, FSM and Australia work closely on pressing issues as members of the United Nations and some of the affiliated agencies in a range of areas that threaten world peace, freedom, and security, including human and climate security, which are closely akin to the survival of our islands and people. At the regional level, FSM and Australia are bona fide members of regional organizations that enable closer dialogue and joint advocacy on a multitude of issues affecting our blue Pacific continent, whether it be the health crises of non-communicable diseases, the COVID-19 and its associated challenges, or human rights-based climate change and its already felt devastating impacts. And at the national bilateral level, we have a friendly, frank, and constructive partnership which continues to bear fruits in a gamut of areas that directly contribute to our development needs and aspiration, such as in human resource development and capacity building, grassroots community level development, information technology and cyberspace, marine pollution and maritime surveillance, including the provision of maritime assets, just to name some. And you have rightly pointed those out, the Guardian-class vessels, which we are eagerly anticipating their arrival. So FSM-Austria relations remain strong and substantive to this day. We have ongoing projects and programs, as well as others that are in the pipeline, which you have alluded to. And as beneficiary of Australia's benevolence, our country and our people remain grateful and proud of our relationship with Australia. I would like to conclude my short remarks by taking this opportunity to thank Australia and its wonderful people for the continued presence of the embassy here in Pohnpei, a long-standing kind gesture that President Panuelo has made a commitment to reciprocate with the establishment of an embassy in Canberra. I also want to acknowledge the friendly and hardworking staff of the embassy, both past and present, including their families, for their sacrifices, and to thank all through Ambassador Cowley and her colleagues for their individual and collective contributions to FSM Australia relations. They are the official representation and the physical embodiment of Australia, as well as the friendship and partnership forged between our two countries. On this special day, we share your pride as Australians in celebrating Australia Day, and I want to thank you, Ambassador Cowley, for inviting us this evening to share in your festivities and to reflect on the accomplishments that we have made together as close friends and partners. Indeed, Australia's successes open doors for FSM development prospects. So, once again, congratulations to all Australians, especially you, Ambassador Cowley, and your staff, and all Australians who are present here tonight. So to recognize and to respect and to celebrate this evening, I would like to reciprocate this kind toast by Ambassador Cowley, and may I ask that you charge your glasses and please rise and join us in proposing a toast. To the health of the Queen and continued prosperity of the people of Australia. Cheers.
Thank you, Secretary. Honored guests, we now come to the end of our official program. But before we start dinner, I would like to invite Senator Shelton Neff to bless our food. Senator?
Thank you, MC. May I ask that we all rise? Let us unite our hearts in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we bow our heads to offer you our unceasing and unfailing thanksgiving. We thank you for Australia, and we thank you for this day. We thank you all the speeches, and we ask that you bless the food that we are about to take for the nourishment of our bodies and to be of service to you and to glorify your holy name. We pray this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please be seated.
Thank you, Senator. Dinner will now be served in the main room, just behind us. And I would like to invite Secretary Eliezer and other special guests first to make their way to the buffet. Later, for dessert, we will be serving lamingtons, which is one of Australia's signature cakes. We will also have a social media corner set up just over here. And please join us in taking photos with some of our most beloved Aussie animals. We couldn't bring a full-size kangaroo here, but we've got the next best thing. So please help yourselves to the photos, to take the photos. Thank you again for joining us in marking Australia Day 2022. We hope you will enjoy this evening as we reflect, we respect, and we celebrate together. Talang and lap, and have a great evening. Thank you.